Gentlemen, welcome back to the Prime Dude Podcast. Your host here, Rob Edwards, where I actually walk the walk and wear the stuff, your wingman in all things men's fashion and lifestyle. All right, so I think we're up to episode 7 or 8. I've got obviously shoes to talk about, one special find from eBay, and I've really leaned into learning how to buy pre-owned used shoes or like new or new even on eBay. There's some scams too, you got to watch out, and we'll talk about that. But I'm going to show you this find I got here on the shoe table, and how I'm pretty sure I got a good deal, checked on it, and I'm pretty pleased with what I received. I'll definitely link the seller below. He's got great stuff. Also, navy blue shoes, going to do some shine on that and talk about how to style and wear those. I think I'd love some recommendations. Keeping it simple when you get away from your browns and blacks. I think the next color you graduate into is like burgundy. And then after that, we can get wild. And certainly not for every atmosphere or environment, right? I mean, I'm not going to wear suede blue shoes in any serious business context, but I do love blue suede, not just because of the Elvis theme, but it looks fantastic. And then navy blue, I think, is an underused but sartorial touch in shoes, especially with professional outfits. So we'll talk again about that and also some shoe shine tips for patina. I've got two different shoe cream options here, and I think one is something I'm switching to other than the Saphir for our rich patina, design or style shoes, because I'm reading more and more that if you accidentally overuse something like Saphir Renovateur, you could be in trouble. Okay, before we get to the shoes, I'm going to start with this gem that is from Crockett and Jones. I want to talk about this shirt. I'm going to try to wear things that I recommend every time I do the podcast. These shirts from J. Crew, they're just a regular basic, but what you refer to as like a distressed color tee. So there's always there's already a little bit of natural fade sort of baked into the tee that makes it look worn. I think they're called worn tees from J. Crew. Very reasonably priced. I've got 5 of these now. They're a fantastic rotation to your everyday basics in multiple colors, like this beautiful green. I'll link it down below from J. Crew. Just always wash these things. They're cotton. Wash them in cold and hang dry these items. If you do not want to hang them on hangers, you need to get one of those unfolding racks that I have. They actually fold up and go right behind or beside the washing machine. I'll link that down below on Amazon. It is a must-have when it comes to taking care of your clothes, whether it's t-shirts or cotton dress shirts or merino wool. If you don't want to hang them up on hangers, sometimes that adds a little bit of a dent to the shoulders of the shirt. These racks, my wife got me onto these. They're fantastic. I only need one. So I'll link all that below. All right. So this shoe that I alluded to earlier, I got on eBay. It is made by Crockett and Jones. It is a gorgeous, what they call chestnut. I never quite understand what anyone means by chestnut nowadays, because I'll link a picture here. If you get to amberjack, a more of a sneaker hybrid but dressier shoe that I like and I recommend, especially if you're going to be all day on concrete but need something dressy. The shoe I just put up is called chestnut. This is clearly a different shade of brown, maybe chestnuts in different stages, who knows? But that is definitely more of a cognac, and I'll get back to it. But I want to show you the label that came on the box. This is from Brooks Brothers, but under the label Peal and Company, made by Crockett and Jones. I vetted all that using the serial numbers inside the shoe before buying it. And I got this pair of shoes for a little over $200, and they're a vintage but hardly worn dress shoe. So you look at, one thing you can always look at is look at the soles. I mean, these are basically tried on. They say worn maybe once. These are brand new. I mean, they have not, when you look at the inside, I take the shoe tree out. This beautiful shoe that I shined in an earlier edit that I had to get rid of for the podcast is a fantastic mix of a tan and a mid-brown with almost some mahogany in it. And they call it, this is the classic Crockett and Jones chestnut color. I think it's a very versatile medium style brown with some punch to it, that little hue of reddish orange that I love. And I use the Saphir cognac shoe cream polish and cognac wax polish along with the light brown mirror gloss on the toe cap, which was a beautiful medallion. So before we get into that, I'm going to do a full shoe table review, as you know I do on this channel, but I want to make sure you understand a little bit about Peal and Company. This is pretty cool. And this is the original box. Peal and Company, if you look up the name, they were founded in 1791. So we're talking 18th century London bootmaker. So these guys, Peal and Company, date all the classics. Crockett and Jones, Cheney and Sons. I mean, you go way, way back. 1791 is truly an OG in the UK famous British shoemaking tradition. And so Peal and Company made it all the way to 1965. They closed their doors, and Brooks Brothers smartly seized on the brand name, bought the rights, and then sold shoes under the Peal and Company label as a Brooks Brothers product made by all of the famous English shoemakers we know. And it wasn't just Crockett and Jones. I think Cheney was in there, maybe Churches. They contracted out to these just historic, high heritage, high quality shoemakers in England and had them making these shoes under the name of what was a competitor before. I think that's pretty cool, actually. So Brooks Brothers tapped into the brand power of Peal and Company and sold. These were Crockett and Jones shoes like these in the United States. So they, when you look at the sizes, you go on eBay. I'm going to talk about what to do on eBay. It took me 2 months to pull the trigger on eBay. I did all the research I could, but these are actually, although they're made by Crockett and Jones, their sizing is US sizing. So you have to watch out for that. You'll see Crockett and Jones in the description, and it's accurate. The eBay seller is telling you the truth, but you can check that inside serial number. All of the best shoe sellers and resellers on eBay will show you a picture of the stenciled product number and the size. And it said 10.5D. And I knew that was a US size, but I double checked it and I confirmed that these were US sizing. All of the Peal and Company were, and I jumped on it. And so let's grab it again. I'm actually almost, I can't believe that these aren't new. There is not one issue on the leather. They came in great condition. Like I said, I already shined these up a bit, but you can just see. And what's cool is the Peal and Company label is what they stenciled on the sole. But you can see, I mean, these were not walked on concrete or much of anything because there's barely any scratching. This is the kind of scratching you get trying a shoe on wood floors, which you got to be careful. Always, I've messed this up. Always try them on rugs if you don't have carpet. And luckily, when I messed up and did it, the shoe fit. That's going to happen if you're unlucky. You're going to get a pair of shoes that you have to send back, and they don't have to take it. If there's any scratching like this, minor, on that sole, it's your shoe. So hopefully, and maybe this could have been why this guy was selling them on eBay, but he's got, I don't think so. The packaging was fantastic. He sent this box. It was wrapped in white paper. I got so excited, I didn't video it, and I will link his store down below. But we need to talk about eBay because there are many overpriced shoes. There are rules you'll find on Reddit. You go to the Allen Edmonds thread or Discord, if that's what they call it. They talk about never spending more than $150 on a used pair of shoes. Technically, this is a used pair of shoe. I spent over $200, but there's a trick to this. First of all, if you see something you like on eBay, there's always the risk if you don't buy it now, it's going to go away. I was a little worried about that, but I had already learned in watching things for about 2 months, and I showed some discipline, which is hard with shoes, that eventually the sellers, I don't know if it's automatic in their settings, but you're going to get an email every time. If I looked at something and a couple days or a day goes by that it hasn't been purchased by someone else, you're going to get a discount offer off of the initial price. Now, I did every buy I did wasn't a bidding process. I haven't done that yet, which is the traditional eBay. You bid, there's a time frame and the bidding ends, and the highest bidder gets the product. Most of these sellers are just selling it. So you have something that's $240 in what is essentially a new pair of Crockett and Jones shoes, and I got a counter offer a couple days later for 20 bucks less, knowing that other folks, it'll show you who else is following or has liked that item. There were 7 other people. I figured if I got greedy and I waited to save 20 bucks, I'd lose the shoes. I know my size in Crockett and Jones. I'm a 9.5 UK standard. So 10.5D was going to be perfect, and it is. It's essentially has the same fitting and size of a standard Allen Edmonds, and I got these for about $220. These are new Crockett and Jones shoes that in the time of Peal and Company and Brooks Brothers were selling retail years and years ago over $500. So a high-end, beautiful quality shoe. And I'm going to take a closer look at the shoe table and do a simple shoe review on them because it doesn't have to be new. And these are as close to like new that I've seen on anything on eBay. I've also pulled the trigger on the Lucca Brogues in a mahogany from Allen Edmonds, a very rare and long discontinued pair of shoes. I'll put a couple screenshots up here. I don't have them yet. They're coming any day, but they're a really unique Blake stitch shoe from Allen Edmonds. Allen Edmonds that was made in Europe, or I'm sorry, in Italy. They made these in Italy with fine Italian leather as it reads. They were very popular, but they were designed to be an out-of-the-box, no break in needed dress shoe that is for your more business casual settings. And I'm really excited to see what the mahogany looks like compared to those Fifth Avenues I showcased on last week's episode, because it looks a little darker than what maybe Allen Edmonds has now. And I'll certainly put those side by side probably on the next episode when I get them, but at least in the next 2 weeks, and see what you think, because it's a Blake stitch shoe from Allen Edmonds, which is they're famous for being the known U.S. brand for Goodyear welted. Of course, these are Goodyear welted. Anything Crockett and Jones makes, I've never seen anything Blake stitched or rapid Blake stitched from Crockett and Jones and those other Northamptonshire shoemakers. So really excited to get the Lucca's, Lucca, discontinued Blake stitch shoes from Allen Edmonds, and I'll tell you how they feel and how they wear. I'm looking for like navy blue and grays. I think mahogany, it's a dark enough brown. It's super, super versatile. I am going to start shining a pair of shoes today. These are brand new. I got these in the Allen Edmonds sale in April, so it's been a couple months, and they're navy blue. And as I was afraid, I never bought a navy blue pair of shoes in leather unless I was going to get it on sale, because I was going to be afraid to wear it. So I have been, but I'm biting the bullet. My next business trip, knowing that I'm going to be doing something business casual or maybe even in a suit, this is a dark enough navy. I've got to go for it. I've got the matching belt from Allen Edmonds. All of that was on sale. And so what do you think? I don't have anybody in my world. I don't know if you do, people that I work with that would have any opinion. They'd be like, oh, those look nice. Or they might be like, ooh, blue. They think black and then maybe brown. But I'd say of 10 people I work with at my company, all people who can afford nice things, only 2 or 3 out of those 10, so let's just call it 1 out of 5 with my amazing math, would be able to tell you what Allen Edmonds is. That's crazy, right? I mean, to all of us, even if you don't prefer Allen Edmonds shoes, even if you're not in the United States and it's not that big of a brand to you, as I've talked about, it is here. Isn't that wild? I would think that would be akin in England, in the UK, of someone not knowing Crockett and Jones. I'd say in the United States, Allen Edmonds has to have that brand power that Crockett and Jones would have in the UK. And then there's like in the United States, guys, if you don't live here, there's nobody else even close. I mean, there's again a $750 million a year revenue company, and their brand power is huge here. But you only have them in a couple different stores. I think Nordstrom still carries them. I do know that Saks Fifth Avenue still carries them, but of course their direct to consumer lines are fantastic, and they're the greatest sale option if you can wait in April and October. So I got these in April, but I'm just out of curiosity, drop some feedback what you think. Like, say it's a no-go, never, or do you wear navy shoes, tassel loafers? I think loafers are a great way to go. And how do you style them? I am going to continue to use this yak hair brush. I'll keep dropping the link to Arterton where I got that. It is just super soft. I just shaved, no irritation. I got pretty sensitive skin. That's why I do the shaving videos too. But it's so much softer and easier on the material than horsehair, but it is effective. It will get any resin. Now you can see these are brand new. I still have the rubber bands that I like that Allen Edmonds shipped on the tassels to keep those sort of flares from bending in shipment or in anything I do. And because it's a solid color, I'm still going to use the Saphir Renovateur, but I wanted to take this opportunity to sort of bring up, and I do think it is good to put a thin layer of shoe care on new shoes after brushing them, even though I know Allen Edmonds does something, but just looking at this, I want to put a light layer. I'd say when I first started using Saphir Renovateur, I would probably put too much on your solid standard black and brown leather shoes, even this navy, where there's no rich type of patina, or artistry in the patina. You're fine. You just don't want to waste it. But it's an all-natural product except for some very, very, as I've researched, light solvent that helps sort of bind the reaction of the natural minerals and oils that make up 99% of the Saphir Renovateur. I'm bringing this up because I'm seeing more and more warnings, let that sit for a little bit, more and more warnings about using these cream polishes or these renovators too much on patina shoes, that it can strip the patina away, which would be a disaster. I think it is smart to find a place if you get a shoe like those museum brown Bridlins. I just did the review. I'll drop the link again down below. It is a nice museum brown patina, and I've been fine using Saphir, but next time I get something like that, I'm going to put a little bit on like the inside heel, just a tiny bit, buff it, play with it, and just see if there's a reaction. There shouldn't be. Again, you shouldn't be using a lot, and I think I used to use a bit too much. You can see this is almost empty, but I've had it for over a year, and if you followed the show and watched at all, you know that I have well over, I'd just like to say well over 50 pairs of shoes. And so I do have had to use quite a bit of it just on initial treatments. And then the question becomes, do you use this Renovateur type cream after every wear? I don't think so. I stopped doing that. When you go to all the shoe experts, when they're initially looking at a shoe or recrafting, or they've finished, you go to these fantastic cobblers on YouTube, they're always going to add, if they're reconditioning everything, the shoes they get are just terrible shape, and they're just artists. I mean, can you believe what these guys are able to do? So just already a nice little glisten there from the shoe cream polish. But I don't think we need to do it every time, unless maybe every 5 times you wear a pair of shoes, you apply the Renovateur cream. I think in between, why I have it out here, this came from Herring Shoes. They actually, Herring, which I think is maybe the best overall online shoe option for Americans if you want something outside of the US. They carry a bunch of brands. They make their own shoes, but I say that, it's actually, they're made by Carlos Santos. So if you're looking for Carlos Santos shoes, I've already covered this, go with Herring. You can also go with the Noble shoe. They have direct deals. They sell the same shoes, but their return process is 100 times better than buying direct from Carlos Santos. But Herring, in just a classy touch, they send this beeswax shoe cream with every pair of shoes you order through their store. I've ordered Herring brand. I've ordered Carlos Santos, which I talked about last week. That's the one where I showed you the Guimaras patina, a heavy patina shoe. And I think I alluded to being careful with the Renovateur. And I don't think I've even used it on those yet, because it's a rich patina. But if you want something alternative that has less of the renovating ingredients, I've done my homework. It looks like the Herring is a very basic shoe cream polish or shoe cream wax pre-cream before you apply shoe cream polish. So there's options. Saphir makes an all natural. They also make a Cordovan Renovateur that I'm going to order. Actually did order already. It's not here yet. That you can just use instead. It's a little more money, but it is gentler. And I think it's missing all those, that little bit of solvents, that solvent that activates the ingredients of the regular cream. So keep that in mind. Now this is navy. I do not have a navy shoe cream polish that I know of that I could find. You don't always have to use everything. This is a brand new pair of shoes. It's well treated. By the time I need to shine these again, I'll probably have a navy shoe cream polish. But what I do have is the navy blue Saphir wax polish. And I'm not going to do a mirror shine because also missing, I can't find my neutral mirror gloss. So it's around, but the show must go on. And I don't know if I need it too much on this, but I'm definitely going to apply all over except for the vamp, which is sealed or blocked off nicely by the beautiful apron stitching of what is this loafer? This should be the Grayson Tassel loafer in navy blue. I'll double check it and I'll drop something if I'm wrong in editing. You're seeing it now if I was, because there's one other, it's not Como. I think it's the Grayson. So I'm going to apply, as the first time especially, I'm applying the regular wax polish all over the shoe. Toe, the top part of the vamp right up here beyond the tassels, but I'm going to stay away from the vamp area that encompasses the creasing when you walk. That's where you want to keep wax polish away. I've said that a few times. Just a nice layer over the surface of the shoe right here. And I'm using my makeup remover just because I don't have to use my hands on everything. I get pretty well stained. Even though the Saphir products wash right off, I've had no issues with warm water and regular soap. So keep that in mind. I mean, you could use like lava soap or industrial soap. If you want to get rid of, sometimes I can see in the mahoganies and reds, a little faded shoe cream polish color. And I kind of like that. I don't know. Just makes me feel a little more blue collar. So layer on there. I like to let it sit a little bit, put a lid on the wax And yeah, so I'm going to try these out. I'm going to leap into the navy loafer tassel, add a little fun touch to it. Not next week. Oh yeah, next week. This week, no, I'm not traveling this week because it's a holiday. It's Independence Day in the United States. So if you've watched before, I'm all over the place. I'm definitely in at least 2 cities a week. Got a break this week. Next week, I'm going to be kind of more local in Texas and then off to Florida, which is where I've been a lot for business. So back to the yak hair brush, right? Wax polish is sat long enough and just love how it brushes off. Again, Saphir is the best product, but there's some others, Merlin or Merton, that are much less money that work just fine. I've tried out. You can use Kiwi. You know, you don't have to spend a bunch of money. Or if you want to save money, just stick with the neutral options with Saphir and just use those. I mean, you know, your little light scratching might not cover up as well if you use like on a brown shoe, one of their brown or dark brown options, but you can definitely do really well with that. So done with that for now. I'm going to put that away, and then we're going to jump to what I travel with for shoe shining. Okay, all done with the navy shoes. They look great, ready to wear. I'll get the other one later. Wanted to show you what I travel with. I'm going to make this a little smaller. I got carried away, but I did find it's a standard shoe cream polish kit that Kiwi makes. It's just a bag, clear bag. But I did find a small, and I think the most important thing, a really small shoe brush. It's horsehair. And then I add just some basics, and I've gotten a little out of control. I've got some cream polish from Allen Edmonds in black. I do have a smaller Saphir beeswax Renovateur, and then I have an assortment of different polishes or wax polishes, black and brown mainly, in a small burgundy. And then I threw some Q-tips in there and some of those mirror or makeup removers. And I travel with this. It goes in my carry-on, no problem, because I'm on pretty long trips, and they are interestingly some shoe beat up options there. These shoes do take a little bit of a beating. Getting up close again before I spill it everywhere. There it goes, and it's all down live and in action. Get to clean that up in a second, but that is a nice little option. You pretty much could get away with one cream polish. I mean, I might switch to this herring, just a basic cream polish, and then just stick with a couple basic shoe cream. That's just shoe cream, and then the shoe cream polish in the little glass. It's fine in there. You wrap it inside the bag, you're going to be fine. Plus, it's sealed off. If anything breaks, you've got it covered inside that shoe bag from Kiwi. But then with the little brush, you got a couple colors. You can stick with just brown. I would do medium brown and black. That medium brown is going to go with everything. Now, if you're traveling with burgundy, I went with a, I don't think it fell. Oh, it's still in the other room. I went with the very small. So Saphir makes smaller wax polish options. I got this in neutral. That's another one. You could go brown, black, neutral. You can go brown, black, Bordeaux. Just know if you have something a little different that doesn't match any of those, you've always got this. If you got a wax polish and a brush, you're good. You could literally do it that way. So not this one, a small brush, neutral wax polish, you're probably fine. You're going to get more out of having nothing. That if you get water on there, you get some scuffs, you're going to be able to get that out with that horsehair brush. And then you could go with this and then probably this. I might even try that. Maybe it just gets less bulky in any room I can save traveling. But I do like to have the black and brown options. The majority of my shoes are black and brown. But again, if I'm traveling with these in navy blue, I'm not going to want to put black or brown on there. So that's why I forgot. I got the neutral. So the neutral is kind of my coverall. I've got that with the shoe cream, whether it's Saphir or this one from Herring or another brand. Now I've got basic shoe care on the road covered. And not that anyone's going to notice, but if you're on planes and you're walking around a lot of people, especially when I was in Asia, your shoes take a beating. Now, good shoes that you've taken care of, it's not going to permanently damage them, but you hate, I mean, it's really stinks on a flight early in a 9-day trip in Asia to have your shoes get dinged, and the shoe shining options are not readily out there. There's no product to buy. It's hard to buy things there. And even in the US, you get, unless you're at an airport, what are you going to do? So having a little travel kit like that, get that little Kiwi bag, I'll link it down below. You can keep the 2 polishes. That's good. That's, again, better than nothing. You're not going to hurt your shoes using something cheaper, and you're going to like the way they look. I guarantee it, if you remember Men's Warehouse. if you have something like that, just tucked. I keep it in my bag always. So that's the first time it's been away from my every week bag. So small brush, link down below, with some small options in the neutral and other colors in the, the smaller wax options. Get started with that. If you're traveling, you're just going to love it. It's going to come in so handy. I even threw some Q-tips in there. If I want to do a little edge dressing with shoe cream and the makeup removers, you could use your fingers. But if you're on a trip, maybe you don't want to get your hands dirty, put some of these guys in there. They're super cheap to order those on Amazon. You get like hundreds for $5. So excited about the travel shoe kit. Talking about that. That's all I've got. The last thing, actually, almost forgot. I'm going to link these below. You've probably noticed, and you probably already know about these, but I didn't up until about a year and a half ago. I was just thinking the only shoe tree options were the beautiful cedar that are heavy. And so when I travel, I really don't want to lug a bag with all of my stuff that adds the extra weight of something like a shoe tree. So what I do with these is I pack these in the shoe bag with these shoe trees from Kingsland. That's what the company's called. I don't know where they're made. Probably guess. And they just slide right in, real easy. They add that shoe tree form, right? There's holes in it, so they breathe. I already showed you. You slide it right in. And then what I do before I slide it in, though, I pack my socks in this part here. So I'm saving space, because you can always pack socks inside a shoe. That's one of the recommendations. But I tuck them in there, typically just one pair. And then I've got this in. It keeps that form. It's nice to have on the road when I get my shoes off. At the end of the day, I'm in the hotel. I pop the trees back in, and I'm off and going. So those are plastic. I think they're great for loafers. So not only is this the travel shoe tree I use, that's what I use for loafers. I'm not putting last shaped cedar shoe trees in my loafers. I mean, if you look at it's a Cobbler Bob, great channel, just a nice regular guy that knows shoes. He's an Allen Edmonds guy. He didn't put shoe trees in loafers at all. I feel good with something, but I just don't think you need the cedar shoe trees when you can save a lot of money with these options, and they're just fantastic for travel because they're lightweight and you're going to feel better after a long day. There's a lot of heat and sweat and moisture in those leather shoes. You can just tell it's better for the shoe, even if it's just for one night, especially if it's your only pair you're traveling with and you've worked them over. Breathing is so important for the natural materials like leather. They say you're not supposed to wear a dress shoe 2 days in a row. If you're traveling, I typically have two pairs. One I wear on the plane, one I pack with my gym shoes. Either way, you pop shoe trees in, you're going to feel better. That'll save you a lot of money and save you a lot of weight, especially if you're getting to a point where it's getting close and you have to check a bag. Pop those things from Kingsland in, trade them out for cedar when you're traveling. You'll be really happy. That's it. Thanks again, guys. Enjoy doing this. Thank you for your comments. Like, subscribe, put on your alerts. Tell me what you think. Always love the feedback. Always love your support and your time, spending all this time with me. And thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, stay prime.